I guess there's two good pieces of news from, maybe three, from last night's Monday Night Football game. It wasn't a well-played game, but at least it was long, right? It's like a movie. It's like, it wasn't very good, but I listened. It was long enough. I got to finish all my popcorn twice, and I got a refill. And it wasn't that gripping that I could go and get a refill and be fine. If you're a Chargers fan like I am, a win is a win. Take it however you want to get it. And that's a good Broncos defense that they ended up finally being able to score a field goal against late in overtime. But yikes, not the most aesthetically pleasing, right? Pop Warner rolling over in his grave at that one. But the big takeaway is something that we can try and talk about, right? We can try. And what's fascinating about this whole deal, okay? It's really, really super interesting. Fascinating about it is that even the 10 for 10 he started with, and they had that one real explosive play from the rookies from UCLA, right? I mean, that was a blown coverage by J.C. Jackson. Maybe what's interesting is, like, here we have, two guys who signed, one as a free agent, one traded for, and they're both equally a disaster. The only difference is you can take J.C. Jackson out. You can't take Russell Wilson out.
Recording in progress.
You can't take Russell Wilson out. I mean, guys, I want to chalk the first couple weeks up to the idea that, hey, Russell Wilson is on a new team with a new coordinator, and the coordinator, who's now the coach, head coach, looks a little bit in over his head, right? That's what I wanted to start. That's why I've been kind of gentle, like, hey, eventually Russell will figure it out. But, geez, I don't know if he can play anymore. I don't know if he can play anymore. The inconsistency with his arm, now he's pulled his hamstring, so if you thought he wasn't running previously, wait till this week. I haven't seen a guy fall off this quickly since Jason Kidd's last season with the New York Knicks. They make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden he can't make a layup. Like, here's an all-time great player, can't make a layup. Russell Wilson's in his early 30s. Yeah, he's not 39, he's not 40. He's not coming off an injury. It's not like, he's going to get better. He's coming off of, he had a hand thing last year. Here's Russell Wilson talking about his team facing adversity.
We got to answer the call. It's adversity is definitely challenging us right now. But the only way I know through it all is just continue to work hard and continue to believe. I think felt like we should have won that game tonight, and so we got to look at the film and see what we can do better.
Russell Wilson answered this question about possible division in the locker room.
When you've been through adversity with teams before, when there's the opportunity that there's division in a locker room or anything like that, how do you go about ensuring that doesn't happen? And do you have any concern about that?
No, we don't have division in our locker room. I mean, you guys saw how hard we played for each other tonight. I mean, everybody, it didn't go our way, but everybody's fighting their butts off every day. The guys up front, all line, receivers, tight ends, running backs, the defensive line, linebackers, our safeties and corner. I mean, everybody's playing for each other. We felt like we could have won the game.
Here's Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach, talking about his offense.
I feel like I can do more and continually work to try to find the best schemes for our players. We'll have to look at this game and see where some of those things broke down. But we got to come up with better plays for the guys, and the guys got to be better at executing them. So it's a combination of all of us working together, coming together, and making sure we're doing all the right stuff.
Yeah, that's a nothing burger. I mean, look, the way I saw it was they had everything was in around the line of scrimmage, dink and dunk, dink and dunk, dink and dunk. Then they got a PI call on J.C. Jackson, led to a field goal. Then J.C. Jackson seemed to be the only guy on the Chargers defense who thought they were in man-to-man, leaves a tight end wide open to walk in for a touchdown. That was an explosive play. Those are the two biggest plays of the first half. And then for the last field goal, he gets caught squatting on a route, gets beat on a double move when there's no safety help at the end of the half when you can't get beat deep. I don't think Denver scores. I mean, then the score in the fourth quarter was an interception and then fumble that followed it. That's all their points. Walk-in touchdown because of blown coverage, field goal because of a PI, field goal because a guy squats on a route, and field goal because the Chargers fumbled. That's really what happened. It was the interception, but it hit Gerald Everett in the hands, then popped up in the air, and they brought it down. I mean, it wasn't like the Chargers played well. And remember, the Broncos, they have a kicker with a gigantic leg in McManus. Indoors, that was a game where all they got to do is a little bit of something in overtime, and they win the game. Couldn't do a little something. And the juxtaposition, I've told you this before, that free agent signings, it's like a 33% hit rate. 33% hit rate. And I understand you traded for Russell Wilson, but it's kind of like a free agent signing, right? They sign a new contract, he comes over, whatever, a 33% hit rate. The juxtaposition of J.C. Jackson, who signed an $82 million deal, and they couldn't have him on the field last night. Here's Brandon Staley talking about why he took him out.
Going with Mike Davis in the second half and taking JC out, just what was the thought process there, and how did you feel like Mike played in the second half?
Yeah, I thought Mike gave us a chance in the second half. Like the way he played, he was ready. Proud of him. Proud of his teammates for helping him along, his coaches. It just wasn't good enough in the first half, and we felt like we needed to make a change.
That's it. But you can't really do it at quarterback, with franchise quarterback, when a guy's gotten to 2 Super Bowls and won one. And you paid him $250 million, and Russell Wilson is your quarterback for the next 4 years, this year and 3 more years. Look at the deal. There's no getting out of it. I think the Broncos might be royally screwed if he can't figure it out. It's not one thing. It's not just the arm or just the lack of mobility. Then he's just missing layup throws, just missing guys. So some of that is you're a little bit lost with a new system and a new scheme and maybe new verbiage. Some of it's got to be that he doesn't have a ton of confidence in that offensive line. Some of it's got to be he's not totally sure about his own athleticism, his own arm. But I mean, I did not see that coming. I've never been a huge Russell Wilson guy because I think all that cheeseball stuff is just cheeseball stuff. It's totally formulaic. It feels artificial. It's not fun or funny. It's just weird. But I've always respected the fact that the guy can runs around, make plays, throws a great deep ball, and he was just a guy last night. Dan, you've watched him his entire career. And for people who, I know everybody listens to the show, you've listened, Dan's been with us the whole time, preceded me even, okay, but Dan's a Seahawk fan. Dan works on Sundays on Fox Sports Radio. So he has not missed a game ever that Russell Wilson has played. Can you believe what we're seeing from him?
What's unique about last night was there have been stinkers in Seattle before even last year, and the finger injury, where you're just like, man, this team can't get anything going. Heck, take the NFC Championship game when they hosted Green Bay. Yeah. They could get nothing going, absolutely zero. But what ends up happening in the end is
he bails him out. He figures out a way, runs around back there, makes a play. They kick a field goal, win the game.
And it's him being bad for 55 minutes or 57 or 58 minutes and then somehow figuring out to make a play. And that just didn't happen. And when you can do those late game sort of things, it does erase it. And it's, there were highs and lows in Seattle, but stinkers were there. Like you'd get a couple of them a season and you're like, all right, it's one of those stinker games. And now this is, you have last night of opportunity after opportunity and it just never came up. There are a lot of problems. Even the Melvin Gordon situation. You talk about now is it going to be offense and defense splitting the locker room because the defense is carrying so much of the load. I don't even know if the offense is on the same page. Yeah. Look like there were, videos of maybe Jerry Jeudy complaining about, what was happening. Melvin Gordon has no idea why he got 3 carries and then never played the rest of the game. It's really, really weird.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I did this yesterday where I said, hey, maybe Tomlin and Belichick and Pete Carroll are a little bit better coaches than they get credit. I think the thing is we can't necessarily, it's hard sometimes to identify the good coaches. It ain't hard to identify when things not well coached. That was not hard to identify last night. You're like, what is going on? Nothing made sense. Mm-hmm. Nothing made sense. And I would agree actually with Russell Wilson. Like, the defense played their tails off. That's a good defense.
They're really good, yeah.
Really good. Really good. What's the middle linebacker? He had, 19 or 20 tackles?
Singleton?
Yeah.
Aaron Browning was everywhere. Yeah, yep.
Can you imagine waking up after making 19 tackles and you lost the damn game? You're like, dude, I feel terrible. And we lost.
You know, I wonder too, like, you know, I know they traded Von Miller during the season last year, but like you come in and is the leader of your team the new guy that came in?
That's hard because you don't have sweat equity.
Yes.
It's really hard.
Yes.
It's really hard. You know, it's one of those things, and this is, I've told people this when you change jobs, you know, like be very careful of handing in that sweat equity. You know, because there is, and oh yeah, by the way, like once you leave somewhere, you're not going to get that back where you were previously. You know, because you can't say, hey, remember that? You can't. If you're Russell Wilson last night, you can't gather and go like, hey guys, remember that time we were in San Francisco and we were playing like this for 3 quarters, and then we figured out a way. They're like, no, dude, we weren't in San Francisco. We weren't a member of the Seahawks. All we know is you come in, sign for $250 million, and you stink. You know. And you stink. And Broncos country, let's ride.